Fear is the mind killer. One of my favorite quotes from Dune. That's right, Dune. That is a double share. Dune is a movie and also a book. 31 Days of Sharing, Jerry Franklin Poe coming back at you live. Fear is such a powerful force that can be used to hold us hostage or to propel us forward. And the reason why I want to talk about fear today is because recently I was sharing some notes from my book and I was having to read the notes live here, part of the 31 Days of Sharing. And Reluctant Success family, I want to give you a share that reveals some things about me that some of you may not know. And it has to do with reading, and specifically reading in public. Years ago, when I was in school, elementary school, I was not one of the brightest kids in school. I wasn't one of the smartest kids in school. I wasn't in the top brackets of all the metrics. I actually had to work with a reading specialist. And one of my fears, one of the things that I always found awkward to do was to read in public, to read out loud. When the teachers would have us sit in class, I remember in second grade and in third grade, we'd all be sitting around with the same book, and each person had to go and read a paragraph or to read a sentence. And I used to hate it. It was such an awkward experience. It was such a dreadful experience for me because in my mind, I'm thinking, I'm going to mess this up. I'm going to have a difficulty sounding out the words or pronouncing the words. The kids are going to laugh at me. And I struggled for many years. And here I am, 43 years old. And even today, I still feel a little awkward and uncomfortable reading out loud in public because I'm still dealing with the challenges, the issues that I have around reading. I'm not the person who reads the fastest. I don't always say the words the proper way. Sometimes I butcher words, I butcher names when I say them, and it comes across, in my mind, it comes across like, hey, this person may not be as bright or as sharp as they say, but the reality is this week when I was watching the live from earlier this week, watching it back, I was like, I'm doing it anyway. Yeah, I looked a little awkward when I was reading, and yes, I look differently when I'm reading something versus when I'm speaking directly to people, but I did it anyway. And my question to you is, do you have fears that are holding you hostage? Do you have fears that you are struggling with? Do you have fears, things that are still present in your life that are stopping you from experiencing life the way you know you want to experience it, that are holding you back from doing the things that you know that you want to do, the things that you're called to do, the things that you were meant to do on this planet? And what I want to share with you is that fear can be helpful, but fear can also be hurtful. It just depends on how you want to use it. Because some of the things that you are fearing, or some of the things that you say you're afraid of, you're really not afraid of them to the degree that you think you are. And what I mean by that is we have a natural fight or flight response, things that are supposed to protect us from danger. But some of the things that we are afraid of, it's really not a fear, it's really an awkward emotion. I was not afraid of my life when I didn't want to read in public. I'm not afraid. I'm just not wanting to experience the awkwardness. I'm not wanting to lose what we call the approval of others, what we call the respect or the like of others. We don't want people to dislike us. We don't want people to disapprove of us. We don't want people to lose acceptance. So when we think we're going to lose friendships, lose our coolness factor, lose our acceptance, lose our approval, when we think those things are going to happen, then we stop ourselves from taking action. And that's what the fear really is. The fear is false evidence appearing real, or I want to put it this way, it's fighting emotion that alters results. You're fighting the emotion so what I was fighting is the awkwardness. What I was fighting was the lack of acceptance. I was fighting the lack of approval. I was fighting these things that I thought were going to happen if I read out in public. And even to this day, it's like it still feels a little awkward to read in public. But I don't care about the acceptance anymore. I don't care about the liking anymore. I don't care about the approval anymore like I did back then, because one of the things I had to free myself from is the lack of self approval and the lack of self acceptance. This is why, with my daughters, when they were born, one of the first things I wanted to give them is a healthy sense of self love, a healthy sense of self acceptance. Because if you love yourself and you accept yourself, the approval of others, the acceptance of others doesn't carry as much weight, which now frees you up to do the things that you need to do in order to live your life the way God intended you to live it. And that's right, folks. I'm up here. These lights got me sweating today. We have to work, and I do this daily. It's still a daily thing for me. The self-love, the self-acceptance, the self-approval. I work on myself to free myself from the fear of other people's opinions. I work on myself to free myself from the fear of other people's critical thinking. I work on myself to free myself from worrying about what other people are thinking. Because sometimes we get so caught up in what other people are thinking, what other people are doing, what other people, that it prevents us from doing what we need to do, what we need to say, what we need to be about. And you're not going to please everybody. I know with these 31 days of sharing and me launching Reluctant Success and doing what I can to help other people be reluctantly successful, because there are a lot of folks out there, I know, they struggle just like I struggle. They struggle just like, you know, a lot of us do with these negative emotions, with not thinking highly of yourself, with self-doubt, like all these things that make us normal human beings. People struggle with them, which causes this reluctantness, this level of pausing, holding back, not wanting to just jump in. Not all of us are the A-type personality. Not all of us are those go-getters that you see. And I started this whole series off. I talked about there's different types of leadership. There's different types of motivation. Some people are the drill sergeant, and they're like, "Oh, I'm going to go get it because I want it so bad." And they, you know, you hear them. They're like yelling at folks to motivate them, and that's great. But not every one of us responds to that. I know that's not always my major jump starter to motivation, is to have somebody to yell at me. Now, sometimes yelling, it does work. When my parents used to yell at me or my dad yelled at me, yeah, I did get into action because I didn't want to deal with the consequences of not taking action. But most of us don't want to go around life having somebody yell at us all the time, right? So what I'm saying is that we have to learn on a daily basis. It was Jim Rohn who said that motivation is like a shower. It's something you have to do every single day. Every day I still work on my level of self-acceptance, work on increasing my level of self, confidence, to believing that I can do it, that I can make it happen, to lower the voice. There's always two voices in our head. There's the voice of our greatness, and then there's the voice of our weakness. And those voices battle each other all the time. So I have to lower that voice, the little Jerry versus the big Jerry. The one that says, you can do it, and the other one says, like, oh, no, you can't do it. You can't do it. And like, yes, I can. No, you can't. It's always a struggle that we have inside of ourselves. So when you think about fear being this mind killer, what is it that you are afraid of? Is it really a life or death situation, or is it an awkward emotion that you don't want to experience? And is it okay to deal with the awkward emotion? The answer is yes. Years ago I used to hear that people will quote these scriptures that we are perfectly and wonderfully made, that God did not give us a spirit of fear, but of love, peace, and of a sound mind. And I didn't understand that as a child. Like, it didn't make a lot of sense. It didn't help me deal with the fears when I was a kid. But when I started to accept the fact that, yes, I am perfect in my imperfection, to realize that you are perfect in your imperfection. That's one of my affirmations, that I am perfect in my imperfection, that I am okay just the way I am. That the way that God made me is the way that I'm supposed to be in this world. I am supposed to be corny. I am supposed to be short, curly hair. I am the way I am is the way that I am supposed to be. When I started to accept that, to accept me, then all the other stuff, yes, I can read, and I'm going to look awkward. I'm going to continue to look awkward. I'm going to continue to mess up people's names and to mess up sentences and to jumble words and to get words around. It's going to happen. But now I ask myself, so what? And so what? And so what? I messed it up. So what? And now what? So what is it that's holding you back, that you can say to yourself, so what? And so what? And because you want to get into action. And also, you want to start to change the belief that drives the action, the thoughts you have about yourself. One of the reasons I shared the book earlier in the series called What to Say When You Talk to Yourself is because the words that we say to ourselves alter our level of self-acceptance, alter our level of self-appreciation. And when you start with the self-love, the self-appreciation, the self-approval, then you do not have to worry about seeking the approval of other people in order to condone what you need to do for your life. So folks, I'm hoping that these videos have been helpful for you. I pray that when you're watching this stuff, that you are getting encouragement, that you are getting energized, that you are getting empowerment to help you charge through the rest of this year, to help you finish this year strong. I know this year has been challenging for all of us, but these 31 days of sharing are all about me giving life back to you. So many people have poured into me that made a difference. I think every day of the folks who spoke positive things into my life, people that at the time were strangers that I didn't know were going to be so insightful and so inspiring and so powerful into, helping me out along my journey. They were like building these bricks in my foundation, and I want to do that this month for you. So until next time, we're going to be here every day for the whole month of December at 11 and 7 p.m. live Eastern Standard Time. So until this evening, until next time, be valiant, be vigilant, and be victorious.